Hi, I'm Magdi, and this is my character rig. For my rig, I decided to rig the UT3 pawn, as it's a fairly standard type of character you'll find in quite a lot of games today. Quite big, bulky armor. Okay, so starting with the skeletal system, you can see that it's a fairly standard biped rig. He's only got 4 spine bones because he's wearing big, chunky, heavy armor, and that's going to limit his movement. So more spine bones than that probably wouldn't be necessary. The bones are color coded, so you can tell which side is which. Red for left, blue for right. The beginning of the hierarchy is quite a darker colour to the end of the hierarchy, so it basically fades off as it goes down. The spine is colour coded yellow, and this is just to differentiate from both sides to make it easier to see. The bones follow a fairly typical naming convention, with the first part of the name being what part of the bone it is, so in this case it's arm, then left, and then clavicle, and this is obviously arm, left, upper, arm, left, lower. All the bones follow similar naming conventions. Okay, so looking at control objects. First control object is the big triangle. This is the globe control, and this allows you to move the rig anywhere you might want it within the scene. If your character needs to be rotated as well, it can be done using the globe control. All the controls can be reset to their default position by alt-clicking and going to transform to 0, and that'll put them back to their base position. So looking at the leg controls, the legs are set up using the triple IK system. This is preferred over the inverse foot rig, as it's a fairly comprehensive rig, and it also doesn't give you unnecessary bones. All the movement in the foot is pretty much controlled with this one control. So with this one control, you can lift it wherever you want, and if you want to, you can use it to rotate the foot in any of the degrees you want. Added to this, there's also sliders on the side, so we've got automation in the control, and this allows you to do other things. For example, you can use them to lift the foot, lift the heel, lift the toe, and roll the foot. And those controls are very useful when it comes to animating a walk cycle. The last control for the legs is the knee. This allows you to choose which way the knee is pointing, and this can be very useful. The spine was set up using the simple spine IK. This was to give the maximum amount of control with the fewest control objects. You'll probably never touch the bottom control object, but the top one should give you all the movement you need. You can use this control object to move everything backwards and forwards. You can move it up and down to give a bit of a stooping effect. And you can also use it to roll the shoulders if you want to give your character a bit of a swagger. There are some problems with this, however. If you do tend to move the chest using this, you will find you'll have to move the head gimbal independently to get it into the right position. And if you do decide to use it for a shoulder roll, it can give some awkward rotations. And it's probably best to use the clavicles themselves if you want to move the shoulders. This control up here is the main head control. It's used to position the head, so you can turn it from side to side, up and down, and of course swivel from left to right. As well as these controls, we also have some facial controls. These controls control the brow via the side, so this allows you to animate facial expression to the character. So if you want, you can give him an angry look, or put them all up, give him a surprise look. That can be quite good. Because he doesn't have a mouth, it was a bit difficult to decide what the controls were going to be for the face mask. But I came up with these. This is to move the bottom of the chin, so it can look like he's talking. And this is to move the top down. Obviously, if both of those controls are going to move together, you're going to expect some kind of movement coming out towards the sides. So we've got those there. And this control up here is basically just used for exaggerating the upper jaw movement. As well as this, we also have eye controls. By moving the big X around, you can control which way the eyes move. And if needs be, if you want to make a character look retarded, you can control the eyes individually. And obviously, as with the other controls, you can get them back to their original positions by just alt-clicking and going transform to 0. So looking at the arm controls, they're set up as an FK-IK blend. This is a fairly standard type of rig. Paul Neal uses these quite a lot, and it gives the animator a lot of control over the arms. As with the foot, try to give as many of the controls on the one control object as possible, but obviously couldn't get them all on because it just broke. So, starting with the FK, you can use the FK system to move the arm quite easily in a forward kinematic fashion. You can see that a lot of unnecessary parameters have been locked out from the control objects, and this is just to stop you breaking them. Because of the mesh being big and chunky in armor, the range of movement you can do is quite limited in some cases. So you probably wouldn't need the full functionality of, well, the full movement range of these control objects, but locking them out and constraining them would probably do more harm than good. You can also choose to animate the arm in an IK fashion. I'll just turn out the bones. The bones are on separate layers, so you can hide them if you're not using them, which can be quite useful. The FK-IK control, the blend control, is found on the main control arm, and you can see that there. You can blend between FK and IK, and then start animating with this. Controls for the hand are found on the control object. Each finger can be curled independently. Okay. And you can also splay the fingers. Similar to the knee, the IK controller also has a control object which allows you to point in which direction the elbow faces, and this just allows you to correct the orientation of the arm.